So this new Nintendo Switch Online playtest program just got a big new interesting update, because not only is the game now live, but after allegedly maybe I'm playing in it, maybe I'm not, don't get mad Nintendo, but maybe I've just seen all this stuff online from other players that are sharing it, because some reason Nintendo signed up 10,000 players and asked them not to talk about the game, and obviously we can't show screenshots, but we now have a grander understanding of what this game is, the overall gameplay loop and experience, and I want to share some thoughts on whether or not this will even be a finalized game that's added into the expansion pack tier when it's all said and done, because I've seen some speculation online that this might have a dual meaning behind it, and I am, to be fair, more on board with that mindset now that Nintendo's kind of testing something more behind the scenes than just what is offered from a content perspective within this game. So we'll unpack all of that, but I definitely want to share some of the initial gameplay loop and impression type of situations here, because this is an interesting one and definitely targeted at a certain type of player that will enjoy these type of experiences, and it's not going to be for everyone, but this is their first like originally developed software that we're seeing them add into the expansion pack tier, or at least in theory we believe it will be that, due to Nintendo's own wording of branding this as testing a new feature that is coming to Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. But I do believe, aside from the gameplay loop and the impressions we're going to talk about with that, there is a broader reason that Nintendo is bringing this many players all at once into the same game simultaneously around each other, because it is very apparent just how many people you are legit live right next to playing by each other. Like truly the term MMO, or massive multiplayer online, is the term to use to describe this, and I personally believe there is a bigger reason Nintendo is doing this now, as they are probably trying to gear up and upgrade their online servers for their next gen hardware heading into a fresh console generation, and we have to break down what that means for you at the end of the day in terms of new supported gameplay experiences within Nintendo Switch Online, which is definitely the more exciting portion of what's going on here. So we'll get on the same page with all of the details. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to first walk through just some of my initial thoughts and impressions. Maybe it was me playing, maybe it was a friend, maybe I just saw this information online. I can't show you any footage on screen, unfortunately. Nintendo is legit going after anything that shows pictures or videos of this game, so it is one of those unfortunate situations that even though 10,000 plus people have access all around the world, they're also just coming after the videos and issuing takedowns and things like that. So we can't share images. Enjoy some Nintendo Switch Online promotional footage, but essentially just to kind of share what I know about this gameplay experience thus far. It's a very simple character creation that you start up with, where you choose your profile icon, your hair color, skin color, and you're pretty much in the game after that point. The tutorial, very thrown together. I would actually say Nintendo should probably rework that in some way, shape, or form, because by the time you see the first like dev zone and you're actually trying to go out there and earn developer points and things, there was still a ton that's unclear, at this time, to be totally honest with you. But I do feel like you kind of learn as you go, but the game doesn't explain a lot, and I think this is very clearly like a version 1.0.0 like the software version is, and it's very much a test. It is not a finalized product, so I do think Nintendo will likely rework just how many tools and capabilities your character has before they throw you into the gameplay in the future. But very much, if you just have to compare it to a game right out of the gate, you're going to think Minecraft, and there's no other game that you could closely compare it to more than that, just with the simple fact that your character movement does feel nice. You can see your character in third person the whole time, but every single time you walk on a block or some section of the ground, that like square will literally highlight, because you can grab it, you can attach it to other squares, you can build staircases and all types of different things. There's all types of materials. That is a more deep part of the system that I really like. So far have just been building staircases and trying to get my beacon to the highest point possible, because that's how you earn a lot of developer points and things. But imagine having like hundreds or thousands of players around you within the same Minecraft server, all kind of working in their own areas and doing their own things. But the weird mechanic with this is that beacon, because that really creates your area to work in, essentially. So the higher you can get it up, it's exactly like if you looked at any of the screenshots that were being shared, where you just kind of have this dark planet barren area, and if you get that beacon up high enough, it's going to create like an entire trickle down snow globe type of effect, where it just covers that area as far as that beacon can reach. And the higher you get it up, the more dev points you basically get for that one particular area. I did find out if you just move around your beacon to different areas, you're still going to collect dev points, and you can level up your skill sets and abilities and different things as you continue to get more dev points. So my theory is that this game goes very deep into content creation, side of things, and it honestly didn't feel like that great of a system to me at this point in time. It's maybe one of those tool sets that will start to grow on you when you spend more time in the game, but it felt clunky. It felt like kind of a challenge to get the blocks to connect and actually build what I wanted them to build. But I also think the skill set with your early character is very limited compared to where it will be once you start to level up more and spend more time in the world. But when I talk about the massive multiplayer online component, I mean, at one point when they're dropping you in early into the game and you're kind of in like a area where you're going to select where to go to, like the dev core or other areas of the game that I'm forgetting what they call them. Anyway, you have to make a decision on where you're going. At one point you were like all crammed in, probably a couple 100+ players in just a very small portion, and you had to somehow stand on a block to actually get to the selection screen of where you wanted to go next, and you could knock each other off that block because there's literally the ability to bump other characters around you built into that. And why that's included and turned on when you have that many people in a small area, I don't know. But once you get out of that chaos and you kind of can do your own thing, it does become a little bit more fun. Now there's a very much a social component built around this game too, not in the way of like any kind of exciting voice chat feature or being able to talk or even type to other people from what I can tell so far. But the connects point things is you're basically swapping profiles, if you will, with everybody that's around you if you want to, and you essentially, both players have to shake hands with the other character by holding up on their D-pad for a moment, and then you end up seeing their username. You see kind of their level overall, how many dev points they have so far, which dev points is entirely your experience currency essentially, and you get to view their username and you earn connects points for doing that. The more players you do that with, the more connects points you're going to have. I haven't seen what that part of like the game kind of as it unlocks what connects points really do unlock, but that's an aspect as well from the social element. But the point that I would drive home as far as like if you want to know what this game is like from a gameplay perspective, you know, Minecraft, a little bit of No Man's Sky in the way that like things are generated and you're just going to these like barren areas initially and then just kind of building the highest, you know, structures that you can to get your beacon to the top, to have more room to create more stuff. And then it seems like you're going to end up resource farming and collecting all different types of resources so you can make more advanced things later on. So literally Minecraft at its core, but you're playing online against a bunch of different players. And that's where I really want to pivot the conversation as to what the multiplayer online aspect means, because it was very clear to me as soon as I hopped into this game that I have seen nothing, or allegedly hopped in, maybe it was me, maybe I was watching people online. As soon as I allegedly hopped into this game or saw some players playing online, not me necessarily, but it was very clear to me that Nintendo has never done anything like this when it comes to supporting a ton of players in the same world on the same server at the same time, where you can literally see hundreds of characters around you, no problem. And that's like on every section of the game you go to, it's populated with a ton of players, and there are different like servers you hop in and out of, but this is Nintendo testing something on a scale that they have never done before from a first party perspective. So I personally believe this will have big implications for the future of the service. And while this does feel like an early test for a game that will just be a benefit for expansion pack members, it also, more importantly, feels like a test of Nintendo stress testing their servers on the back end as far as how many players they can support in any type of game they want to build from an MMO perspective, or even just more testing their dedicated servers and the capacity period, because we've talked about in the past their old netcode versus like NPLN and getting in-house servers on some of the newer games and stuff. It's been very hit and miss, with some games still using the older netcode that Nintendo used and some games using NPLN. And I believe that as we transition to next gen hardware and Nintendo builds out kind of the future of NSO 2.0 or whatever that revamp looks like, that this is the core technology that they will be using behind it, whatever they are doing to run all of these players in this one massive world. If they incorporate that into their first party lineup of games, online play will have gotten a significant upgrade across the board. And that's probably the most exciting aspect of this test, because while there was some character jankiness and stuff, sometimes you'd see people slightly skip frames in front of you, I very much saw every character in real time, all of their movements without any real noticeable hiccups. I mean, it was very much a clear experience, and just the sheer volume of players without any hiccups on a playtest like this, at least initially on day one, that was a pretty impressive thing to see from a first party Nintendo perspective. And the fact that they have this technology just think of the possibilities of if they do want to tackle a MMO in any way, shape, or form one day attached to one of their big franchises. Animal Crossing comes to mind as a franchise that would be perfect for literally kind of having the same gameplay experience, but just being able to literally have a massive connected world online where you can see all the other characters if you want to. We of course had that interesting file as part of the Game Freak leaks that recently happened where there's some kind of Pokemon MMO, which it sounds like it's really just Game Freak kind of referring to an online multiplayer focused game as an MMO and probably not a Pokemon legit one like we want. But imagine one day if the Pokemon company does tackle an MMO where you see everybody in the same world, they build out all the different regions and they make it like an ongoing experience in the world of Pokemon. These are the type of possibilities that will be 100% on the table with whatever Nintendo is doing behind the scenes from a server standpoint right now. So while the playtest isn't going to be for everybody at the end of the day, and I really don't think you have to feel like you're missing out on too much if you are not a fan of builder style games like Minecraft, Roblox. Well, Roblox maybe isn't the best example, but I can see maybe a little bit of an aspect of that. I don't really know what the possibilities are because I've never played it myself. But anyway, builder style game with seeing a ton of other characters working together if you want to, or just kind of doing your own thing if you want to as well, and kind of working together to build a giant huge connected world. And so far Nintendo servers seem to be absolutely killing it without many problems that I've noticed, and that's what I ultimately think spells very good things for the future of NSO. Dedicated servers for games like Smash Bros and everything else, just having a reliable connection where you're not just hoping that the people you're playing against online all have great connections with very low latency. Like, the idea of dedicated servers is that you're not going to have to rely on somebody else's connection to still have a great gameplay experience online yourself, and that's what I think this is ultimately pointing us towards. So we have from now until November 5th that this game playtest will be running, and in the background, I do believe that Nintendo will probably release this and drop it into the service at some point next year. I don't think it's going to be like the playtest ends and it's immediately playable. I think they're going to take all the feedback and try to expand things and fine tune things, and then ultimately roll this tech out across the board when it comes to their next gen hardware for NSO, not just towards this game, but towards a lot of Nintendo games for their next gen consoles, which is more exciting than this particular game for me. But that's where I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you make of the playtest program? And if you're somebody who was invited into it, are you personally enjoying the game, and are you actually happy that this will hopefully be a finalized finished additional expansion pack member benefit? Or is this game really not doing much for you at all at this point in time? And are you with me and you think that this is kind of part Nintendo putting out new content for NSO, but also part stress testing their dedicated servers for their next gen console and kind of the future of the online infrastructure and technology? Or do you think that maybe it's not as connected to that as I'm thinking, and it's really just more of this content being served out to NSO members? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.